and welcome to another episode of the Planetary Persuader. I am KozMcKev, your host, and this is for the weekend beginning Friday, May 15th, 2020. So, looking at the sky today, what do we see? I'm looking at it, and I'm seeing that we've got a moon in the constellation of Aquarius in a lunar mansion known as Shadabishak. Okay, so this is the sidereal aspect of this horoscope today. So Shadabishak is ruled by Rahu, the north node of the moon. You know, it's kind of like the demon snake, the desire that has no bottom. And this stuff is pretty real. Now, Shadabishak also deals with cures. It deals with 1,000 flowers or 1,000 doctors. And Shadabishak often has really good medical knowledge, but very harsh diseases come out of Shadabishak, like in late February when they announced about COVID-19 being, a lot worse than it was. It was there on the Shadabishak moon, new moon. And so we're looking at, this might be a time too where there might be cures. Now Venus, though, is retrograde. And so is Saturn. So is Jupiter. Now Saturn and Jupiter are the wisest planets, Saturn disciplines us. Jupiter blesses us. Saturn also, though, rewards us. And Jupiter is looking for you to show faith and also a sense of devotion and compassion. Because that's like you're answering to a higher spiritual truth. I think we're moving closer. Next week should be the new moon. But right now we've got, everything is shrinking, and we're still in Kalsarpa Yoga. We will have in Western astrology the moon's in Pisces. And the sun is in Taurus, but the sun is going to go into Gemini 6:49 in the morning on Wednesday the 20th. Real early. It is a leap year. And stuff is moving on. So sign by sign, here we go. Going for your horoscope, beginning with you, Aries. Okay. Very nice. So, greetings, Aries. Welcome to your horoscope. So here's Mars. Mars is doing its thing. It's in Aquarius, so it's in your 11th house. And it's there with Saturn. So it's, it's not right next to Saturn anymore. So it's not maybe not quite as restrictive feeling as it was. There's a freeing. And Mars has moved out of there, actually. It's now in the constellation of Pisces, or rather the season of Pisces in Western astrology, tropical astrology. So now that Mars is in Pisces, Aries, it's sort of a flip-flop. It's gone from the social life and the Saturn influence now to where you need to focus on more spiritual things and allow yourself to be isolated, like go to a wilderness, or allow self-isolation to be okay, even in a time like this where it's like, days are long and you're longing to play and garden and do. You can, hopefully, some places where you live, like where I live, you can do all that stuff. It's great. But you need to be good to yourself. This is a time to focus on family, on money, if you need dental work, to get it done if possible. We've got Mercury and Venus in the 3rd house, so communication issues. They can be good, they can become better. Your own creative, artistic aspects can come out with this as well. There can be a real improvement. And even with Pluto retrograde at work, changes just keep coming, and you just have to roll with it. All right, greetings, Taurus. Welcome to your horoscope. Like I was saying before, this is Kalsarpa Yoga. All the planets are on one side of the chart. This is a challenging time because all these other houses are free, and only when the moon enters into them do we get relief from this. So for Taurus, starting out, moon in the 11th house. So there's an element of socializing, expecting to see people tonight, maybe this weekend. There'll be some kind of get together, whether it's socially distanced or maybe you live in a house with a lot of people to begin with, and so you can stay hanging out with each other. I know people who are in relationships that had separate places, like in separate towns, and they've socially distanced themselves, or even just separate houses, period, in the same town. And it's sad. Humans need connection, and Zoom just doesn't do it for us. We all like, for some of us. So wherever you can connect with your family, it's super important this week. Do things to help yourself have a more beautiful face. Pay attention to work scene. You've got more responsibility, but that responsibility has changed somewhat because of the situation. And go over whatever spiritual truths you've learned in the past and just learn to re-practice them. Okay. Greetings, Gemini. Welcome to your horoscope. Well, this is interesting. I'm mostly a student these days of Jyotish, actually Vedic astrology. I do this Western astrology thing, because I've had years of knowledge with it, but I also felt it was time for me to move on. Partly because so many people do it, and the other part is that I don't feel like it was making the kind of spiritual demands, or it had the kind of remedy aspects that Jyotish or Vedic astrology has to offer. That's flat out, and so I kind of refer to that, sometimes, because when I give readings to people, that's mostly what I do for them, because I just know it's a deep truth. You can look at the constellation, see a planet there. There's something real about that, So anyhow, these are Western horoscopes. For you, Gemini, got North Node, Venus, and Mercury. Now, Rahu, Venus, Mercury, there is so much desire with this combination. So you are really in a place of desire, is how I see you right now. Because it's like North Node is a desire that has no bottom. And they'll use unconventional means to get what they want. And that could be a material item, toy, technology, vehicle, Mercury, all of that. Or a love thing, or wanting to eat rich foods or sweets, more expensive wardrobe, perhaps, art, painting the outside of a house, any of this can come up with this particular thing. And, both Venus and Mercury are really restless planets. There's never enough love, there's never enough materialism, and North Node has no bottom. So, take this all, with a grain of salt here, because you're kind of leading the pack right now. You're like at the head of the train where it's going, Gemini. So, Cancer. Kalsarpa Yoga has got you out of your comfort zone. It's like you're dealing with the public a lot. You have a lot of responsibility right now. And so this whole outer world thing that we're looking at here, this outer world thing, it is tending to give you this feeling like you don't have a personal life. And so how do we make the personal life happen? By next week, we're going to have a moon in Cancer after the new moon. You'll be feeling it by the weekend after this coming one, but, or this, but this is it for you. A lot of weight of responsibility. I mean, Pisces moon is good. It's guru. It's wisdom. It's like a lucky moon. It's good for travel. It's good for understanding other points of view. It's good for relationship, learning, training you to that higher place before you do your thing. Okay. Well, greetings, Leo, and welcome to your horoscope. So, I mean, Pisces moon is not like a great lunar position for Leo because that's 8th house, And 8th house deals with other people's power. It deals with occult studies, though, mystical, magical stuff, too. And also something about, for people that have an inkling towards reincarnation, it's part of our karmic debt that we're repaying back. How do we do this? We want to do this in a good way. I mean, there's even a little mantra to bless the planets. And, I'd love to share it with you. Because, I mean, if you're going through some, we're all going through this Kalsarpa yoga thing. And I was thinking, why not? Okay, I'll share it with Leo. And I guess, one of the best ones that's simple is Om Shantaya Namah, Om Shantaya Namah, Om Shantaya Namah. Now this particular mantra is used both for the Sun and for Saturn, which actually those are both grahas or planets that give really good results. I mean, in some ways they're both malefic, but they are the most steadfast and reliable. Saturn moves very slow. We always know where the Sun's at, It's good stuff, and this is for more peace. So anyhow, greetings, Virgo, and welcome to your horoscope. I mean, Taurus time's been, generally, it's like a good time for you. It's grounded, but it's fun, and it's adventuresome, and you're getting a higher education, you're learning new things, you're really showing your wisdom. There's something good is shining through right now, and so that's just something that you have to be grateful for, and that is so true. Whatever we can do in a spirit of gratitude, that's what's going to give us the most reward right now, having that gratitude. So yeah, there we go. I mean, now for Virgo, in the Kalsarpa yoga sense, everything's about other people. I mean, you feel like, hey, I want some me time right now, but the planets are all in your interface of relationship, and this weekend looks like it could be, there's a potential for romance, and even some of your aggressive tendencies might get more peaceful. I mean, there might be people that call you out on stuff, but you're just like, okay, I'm really glad you shared that. That might not have been easy for you to tell me. I mean, I have so much fun with people, and life should always keep us thinking. And right now there's a lot of career responsibility, and I actually see you doing better at work and that there's good things coming on. So that works out really well, Everything I think I see is that you have to, now with both Jupiter and Pluto retrograde in the 5th house, it's like, internalize the miracle in the way you love, in the way you create. Internalize that miracle, because something is working, something is inspiring, and something good is about to happen. Okay. Greetings, Libra, and welcome to your horoscope. And so it's kind of like, Taurus is a less experienced Venus personality than Libra, we'll say, in a way. And Taurus, though, is more reliable and more stable, too. because there's like this constructive element they have. And you're a little bit night and you're a little bit day. And I mean, you consider yourself a super sweet, super nice person, but you know, right now in this time, you recognize the imbalance, you know, and you're not super comfortable with it necessarily. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of new meditators now, and people that are returning to their prayer spiritual life because they have time for it, and there's not much to do. If you don't do it on your own, you're not getting it. It's nice to do it with other people too. Oh boy. And I'm hoping, you know, that there'll be an opportunity. I mean, I'm thinking though that, you know, you're working on a higher love, you know, finding a higher wisdom that's beyond normal and everyday experience. And trying to find a peace that's transformative in your home, in your relationship with your parents, your ancestry, fixed assets you might own. Really cultivating an attitude of gratitude. And working on your own physical health. It's like to start swimming right now. It'd be a great exercise for you with Mars transiting your 6th house in Pisces. I think that would work. All right. Here we go. Well, greetings Scorpio, and welcome to your horoscope. Okay. So, I mean, once again, Kalsarpa Yoga, and everything still for Scorpio is in houses 3 through 9. It is, or 3 through 8, really. Yeah. I mean, it's a really tight focus and fixture that's happening. So it's interesting there's no planets in Aries right now, too. There's like kind of this empty space. So it's like we have to make our own courage. Yeah. We have to make our own courage during this time. Now, Mars is in your 4th house. Now it's in your 5th. So that creative energy and flow to do things creatively, write songs, paint pictures, get all that creative work done is really there for you right now. Now Sun moving out of your 7th house relationship into the intense relationship of, you know, perhaps a wife owning things or a husband owning things, and they're more in a certain point of power. That kind of switches over a lot this week, but you got to remember Venus is retrograde too, so it's like things aren't necessarily super easy on relationships, so we just have to like, how can I be most compassionate to myself and this person in this situation? You know, just like calling it in. And it's a continuation for you. You know, Gemini has a weird commonality with Scorpio in that it's 8 houses away from the 8th house. Yeah, and anyhow, you're gonna like this moon this weekend, and I mean, I think just keep on working on your stuff, do the spiritual work, you'll be okay. All right, let's go to Sagittarius here. Greetings Sagittarius, and welcome to your horoscope. Well, I mean, last weekend was all about you. This weekend is all about kind of staying home, maybe, and relaxing, chilling out. Kind of wonder if there'll be any weird earthquake or weather patterns of, you know, great force or power in the weeks ahead. I know we're getting closer to an eclipse coming up in June and July, I suppose, but June, yeah. I mean, and all of that's got to be looked at. Now, for you, this whole Kalsarpa Yoga thing's got you more like in that introverted, like, oh, I got to work on my inner life and be with me. Although, on this other hand, now that we've got Venus, Mercury, and North Node in the 7th house, it's like, I really want to be in a relationship. I'm getting a lot of offers for a relationship, maybe. Like, wow, this is really interesting for me, and I'm not sure where I want to go with that. You know, so all of this, you know, a real switch, and there's this concentration of planets going into your 7th house. It's like, wow. Am I going to be a better diplomat? Will I negotiate a better job? How can I enhance the relationship that I do have that I want to keep? Make it better. These are the things. These are all the things to be asking. All right. Greetings, Capricorn, and welcome to your horoscope. So, you got Saturn in the 2nd house. Saturn in the 2nd house, it's about dealing with difficulties within your own family. And dealing with shyness in verbal communication. Maybe dealing with crooked teeth. Saturn could do that. Rahu generally tends to do that, the North Node. Let's see, Pluto, Jupiter in the house, both retrograde. If there was ever a time, and I realized this, after I had a particularly super concentrated tragedies in a 1.5 year period in my life, going back a few years, and I look about what did I get out of that 2 years ago, and I think it was if I was going to make change in my life, it was going to have to come from the inside out rather than me looking for it out there somewhere. And I would say that is for you, Capricorn. Think about this right now. Go back to that inner world, because this is where you're going to get the results you need. And I know the outer world's calling. It's going to be there when you need it. But right now, it's just keep focusing on that inner life. You've got a lot of courage right now. This Mars position is actually really good for you in the 3rd house. So you're going to tackle on some things that wasn't so easy to tackle before, but now you're like, okay, I'm ready to do this. I'm so glad. We can use this boost, A lot of stuff in the 6th house, too, moving towards. So health, working on your health, staying hydrated. And being ready to have the best of everything that you could have. Inspiration, find that inspiration in your heart and share it. Well, greetings, Aquarius, and welcome to your horoscope. So, for my Aquarius friends, Saturn in the 1st house, you got Jupiter on one side of you, Pluto on the other now, hemming in your Saturn. Mars says, get rid of evil. And even in speech, if you're ever on social media and you don't agree with somebody, I say don't call them an idiot or names and things like that. That really doesn't, shaming or being verbally, or somehow having name calling, it never really resolves, never really shows you to show your intelligence to prove a point. But I'm amazed at how many people do it, even older people, and it's you find you'll do better if you try to empathize with other people's point of view. So you might be thinking of this because, that is such a nicer way to start than assuming things, So we have to get away from the assumption zone back into a positive function zone. And I think you're really transforming your spiritual life right now. There's a miracle awakening within you, Aquarius. And, this weekend you might have to deal with some money issues. You might make some money. You have to deal with family. You might have to fix something that you own or sell it. Uranus in the 4th house, Sun moving out into your 5th. This movement of the Sun into the 5th house should be uplifting, should be joyful. It's already starting. There's this lightening up of the load, and it'll be easier for you to be in your heart, and that's a great place to be. And you might find love. I just didn't want to, like, you know, blast it off too far. Okie dokie. Greetings, Pisces, and welcome to your horoscope. So, I mean, on the really good side of things here is that, you know, next week we're going to start out with a new moon. So there's going to be this fresh start, and it should be a fresh start to, I mean, you might relocate. You might be focusing more now on your inner happiness, Pisces. Family issues, what's going on with your mother, your father. Interesting changes maybe to a neighborhood that you used to live in or grow up in or in your own neighborhood. There's a real willingness to make things better right now in you. It's like you really have put on sort of the warrior or warrioress mantle, and you're ready to take a charge as to what needs to be done, but you want it to include some kind of spiritual purification, some kind of compassionate yet creative way to bring more art, bring more love into the world. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, I guess if we put Chiron in Aries, we got Chiron in Aries. I forgot about that. So it's like, you know, working on healing within our limited framework. And so, next week, next Friday, we got a new moon, we got a new start. Thank you for your comments. Really appreciate it. We're going to do this again next week. I'd like you to like it. I'd like you to subscribe. And you are the future that's going to make the place a better planet. It's KozMcKev, clocking out.